It's funny how quickly life can change. One moment you think you've got everything figured out, and the next moment, everything you thought you knew slips right through your fingers. I never imagined I'd be here, typing this on Reddit, pouring out my story to strangers. But here I am. It all started with a simple text. A message I never thought would lead to what it did. It was late, maybe around 10 p.m., and my phone buzzed as I was half watching a documentary about ancient civilizations. Nothing important. I opened the message, expecting the usual, "How's your day going?" Or maybe a meme from a friend. But instead, it was from her. It was just 3 words. "I need you." Those 3 words could mean anything, I thought. Could have been a cry for help, a simple flirtation, or maybe a sign of something deeper. But I didn't overthink it. I responded casually, "What's up?" She replied almost immediately, "I'm at Matt's place. Come now." I didn't hesitate. Matt was a guy I knew from work, but not someone I'd consider a close friend. Still, if Jenna, my wife, in case you're wondering, needed me, I wasn't going to waste time asking questions. I grabbed my keys, tossed on my jacket, and drove over without thinking much about it. When I pulled up to Matt's apartment, I noticed the lights were off. It was too quiet for a Friday night. Something felt off. I knocked on the door, and after a few seconds, Jenna answered. Her hair was messy, and her eyes were wide like she'd been caught doing something she shouldn't have. "Hey, I'm glad you came," she said, her voice strained. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to hide the growing discomfort I felt. "Why'd you send me a message like that?" She hesitated, looking behind her into the dark apartment before stepping out into the hall. "Matt and I, well, we were playing a game." I raised an eyebrow, unsure of where this was headed. "What kind of game?" It's a game of dares," she explained, looking a bit sheepish now. Matt and I got a little carried away. It didn't take long for my brain to connect the dots. Dares. Matt. It wasn't a huge leap to wonder what they had been daring each other to do. My stomach turned, but I tried to play it cool. "A game of dares? And you needed me here because..." Jenna swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know how far it was going to go, Lucas. It started with harmless things. Silly stuff. But then, it got serious. He dared me to kiss him. And I did." A knot tightened in my chest. I wasn't mad, not yet. I just didn't know what to feel. It wasn't about the kiss. It was about the fact that she'd done it. My wife, someone I trusted with everything, had kissed another man in front of me, and worse yet, she was here, telling me like it was no big deal. "I need to know what's going on," I said quietly. "What else happened?" Jenna's eyes flickered nervously as she took a step back, as if weighing whether to tell me everything. "It wasn't just a kiss, Lucas. After the kiss, the game kept going. There were other dares. Truths. Questions. But Matt, he made me choose." "Choose what?" She hesitated, her eyes brimming with anxiety. "He dared me to pick between him and you." I blinked, trying to make sense of her words. My mind scrambled for meaning, but none of it made sense. "What do you mean, pick between us?" Jenna's voice was barely audible now. "He said that after everything we did, I had to choose who I wanted to be with. And, I demanded, my pulse quickening. And I chose him. For a second, I couldn't breathe. I was paralyzed. My mind was racing, my body frozen in place. Jenna had chosen Matt. In a game. Over me. And what she said next sent chills down my spine. "I'm sorry, Lucas," she whispered, looking at the floor. "But I thought it would be easier. I thought maybe you'd let me go." And then it hit me. She wasn't just sorry because of a kiss or a game. She was apologizing for something far worse. She was apologizing because, in her mind, she had already made her choice. "Don't," I muttered, my voice shaking now. "Don't you dare. Don't tell me you've made your choice like that. You think it's a game, Jenna?" She looked up at me, eyes wide with regret. "I didn't think it would go this far, Lucas. I didn't think it would hurt you. But I wanted him. And now, I don't know how to go back." That's when something inside me snapped. I don't know why, but it did. This was no longer about the kiss or the game. It was about my pride. It was about who I was to her. "I've had enough of this," I said, my voice suddenly steady, almost cold. "You want to play games? Fine. But now it's my turn." I turned and started walking toward the door, feeling the weight of her gaze on my back. "Where are you going?" she asked, panic rising in her voice. I didn't look back. "I'm leaving. And when this game is over, you'll have to come find me." And with that, I walked out of Matt's apartment, the door slamming behind me. The cool night air hit my face, but I didn't feel the cold. All I felt was the heavy weight of betrayal. This was far from over. It had only just begun. I spent the next few hours pacing around my apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in on me, the weight of what Jenna had said still fresh in my mind. I wasn't angry, not in the way I expected to be. I was numb. My thoughts were spinning, but I couldn't settle on anything. Jenna had chosen Matt. That was the reality. I couldn't change that. But what I could change was what came next. What the hell was I supposed to do? I kept asking myself that over and over again, but it was more of a way to distract myself from the fact that everything I thought I knew about my marriage had just been shattered in one sentence. She didn't just kiss him. She didn't just flirt with him. She chose him. I couldn't just let this go. I wasn't the type to get dramatic, not really. But there was a part of me that couldn't accept the idea of her choosing him over me. I didn't know what game they were playing, but I knew I had to be smarter. I had to play my own game. Jenna was going to think I'd walk away, that I'd just let this slide. She thought she could push me aside without consequence. Well, I wasn't going to let that happen. I texted her. Simple words. We need to talk. Come over when you're ready. I didn't hear from her for a few hours. I wasn't sure if she was avoiding me or just too confused to respond. I didn't care. I couldn't. I had already made my decision. The ball was in my court now, and I wasn't going to be the one begging. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was Jenna. I'm outside. Can we talk? I opened the door to find her standing on the other side, looking every bit as lost as I felt. Her eyes were red, her hair a little messier than usual. She didn't look like the confident, carefree woman I had married. Instead, she looked like someone who had just made a decision she couldn't undo. Lucas, she started, her voice tentative. I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? Sorry, wasn't going to fix this. It wasn't going to take away the image of her with Matt, the way she had looked at him like he meant more to her than I did. I never meant for things to go this far. She continued, stepping closer. I never wanted to hurt you. But I've been confused for a while. Confused? I echoed, raising an eyebrow. You're confused because you kissed him? Because you chose him over me? That's not confusion, Jenna. That's a decision. Her eyes welled up with tears, and I could see how much she was regretting it. But regret wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to erase the fact that she had crossed a line. I don't know what happened, she whispered. It was just a game, and then it became something real. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know how to tell you what was really going on. And what was really going on? I asked, my voice hardening. Tell me, Jenna. I need to understand what the hell was going through your mind. She took a deep breath, trying to collect herself. I wasn't thinking about you when it happened. I was thinking about him. I was thinking about how easy it was with him. How comfortable I felt with him. That stung more than I expected. The ease. The comfort. She had never said anything like that to me before. So what now? You're just going to walk away from us? You're going to walk away from everything we built? She shook her head. I don't want to walk away. I don't want to hurt you. But I don't know how to fix this, Lucas. I don't know how to go back to what we were. I stared at her, a strange calm washing over me. I realized something in that moment. Jenna wasn't the only one who had made a decision. I had too. I could feel the anger, the betrayal, the hurt bubbling up, but I wasn't going to lash out. I wasn't going to let her off easy, either. If she thought she could walk away from this unscathed, she was wrong. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily, I said, my voice low. I'm not going to beg you to stay, and I'm not going to let you think this is just something we can forget. You wanted a game? Fine. Let's make this interesting. Jenna looked confused, a little frightened even. What are you talking about? I'm giving you a choice, Jenna, I said, taking a step toward her. You're going to find me. You're going to prove to me that you still want this, that you want us. And if you can't, then I'll walk away. I'll leave you with Matt, with whatever it is you think you have. But I'm not going to be the one chasing you. You want me back? You'll have to come find me when this game is over. Her face paled, and she took a step back. Lucas, what are you saying? I'm saying this is far from over. You think you've made a choice? I'll make you see how serious this is. If you really want me, if you really want to fix this, then prove it. But if you can't, then I'm gone. Forever. For the first time that night, Jenna didn't say anything. She didn't beg or try to apologize again. She just stood there, looking at me like she was seeing me for the first time. And then, without another word, she turned and left. I watched her walk away, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. The game had begun. I wasn't going to be the one waiting. This time, It was her turn. The days following our conversation were an endless loop of confusion and anger. Jenna had left that night without a word, and I couldn't tell if I felt relieved or more frustrated. There was no closure, no resolution, just this overwhelming silence hanging between us. I spent my time pacing around the apartment, trying to make sense of it all. The idea of her choosing Matt over me kept playing over and over in my head. The kiss, the way she looked at him. She had made her choice. And yet, I had made one too. I wasn't about to let her walk away without some kind of answer, some kind of consequence. This was no longer just about her betrayal. This was about me reclaiming control over a situation that had slipped from my grasp far too easily. Jenna thought she could push me aside and keep going on with her life like nothing had happened. But I wasn't going to let that happen. Not anymore. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, tapping my fingers on the wood, wondering when Jenna would come around. Would she even try to make things right? Or was she waiting for me to beg her back? The game she'd started was far from over. And as the clock ticked closer to midnight, I felt something shift within me, a strange sense of purpose. I didn't care about what she had done with Matt anymore. That was her choice. But now it was my turn to make her feel the weight of her actions. She was going to understand exactly what she had given up. The next day, I woke up with a plan. It wasn't a rational one, but at that moment, it felt necessary. I'd been sitting on my anger long enough. It was time to make my move. I spent the morning getting ready, not for work, but for what came next. Jenna needed to know the gravity of the decision she'd made, and she needed to feel the same helplessness that I'd been carrying around for the past few days. By the time the evening rolled around, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to sit around waiting for her to come to me. I had made it clear the night we talked that she would have to come find me, but the truth was, I didn't want to make it that easy. I texted Matt. It felt wrong, like something I shouldn't have done, but there was no turning back now. I needed to know how far this thing went. How much of Jenna was really still mine, and how much of her had already slipped into his world. I needed answers. Meet me at the park. We need to talk. I wrote, not even sure what I was going to say when he showed up. But something in me wanted to make him realize that this was not a game anymore. When Matt showed up at the park later that evening, I could see the arrogance in his step, the smugness in his eyes. He thought he had won. But what he didn't realize was that I was playing a completely different game now. I don't know what you want, man, Matt said, crossing his arms and leaning against the swing set. You know what happened. Jenna made her choice. I know, I said, my voice steady, even though my mind was racing. But I think you're missing the bigger picture here. It's not just about what she chose. It's about what you've both done. And what you don't realize is that you've crossed a line. Matt laughed, a sharp, mocking sound that made my skin crawl. Come on, Lucas. You think I don't know what I'm doing? I'm not blind. Jenna's been playing both of us, and she's enjoying every minute of it. She chose me because I didn't make her feel like she was stuck. You were too. Predictable. That hit harder than anything Jenna had said. Predictable. That's what I was. The person she could rely on, but not the one she was excited about anymore. Not the one who made her feel like she was still alive. You think you've got her all figured out? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. You think she's just some game you can win? That's where you're wrong, Matt. Jenna might have chosen you, but that doesn't mean she belongs to you. Not yet. And she sure as hell doesn't know what she's walking into. He took a step closer, his grin widening. What? You think you've got some kind of magic spell over her? Get real, man. Jenna's been itching for something more than you've given her for years. I felt my fist tighten, but I forced myself to breathe. This isn't about Matt. This is about Jenna. She's not the woman you think she is, I said, voice low but firm. And when she realizes that, when she realizes what she's lost, I want you to remember this moment. Matt smirked. What are you going to do, Lucas? Hound her until she regrets it? For the first time in the conversation, I smiled. It was a cold, predatory smile that sent a shiver down my spine. No, I'm not going to hound her. I'm going to make her come to me. And when she does, I'll be waiting. I turned to leave, feeling a weight settle in my chest. There was something in the air now, something dangerous. Jenna and Matt had no idea what was coming. And the worst part? I didn't know how this would end either. But I knew one thing for sure. It wasn't going to be pretty. When I got home, I sat down, staring at my phone, the silence in the room almost suffocating. The game had truly begun. Jenna had made her choice, and now she would face the consequences. I wasn't going to be the same man I was before. I wasn't going to be the predictable one anymore. The ball was in her court, and when the dust settled, it was her turn to make a choice she could never take back. It had been 3 days since I'd sent Matt that text. 3 days of silence. No calls, no messages from Jenna. Nothing. It was like I had vanished from her mind, replaced by whatever game she and Matt were playing. The silence was maddening. I kept going over our last conversation in my head, trying to make sense of it, but nothing felt right. Every word she said was like a puzzle piece I couldn't fit together. And every time I thought I had figured it out, another piece would slip away. That's when I decided to do something I hadn't considered before. I needed to dig deeper. If Jenna wasn't going to come to me, then I would find out what was really going on with her. I couldn't trust her now. The woman I had known, who I thought I understood, was slipping away, and I didn't know if I could ever get her back. But I wasn't going to give up without a fight. I had a feeling I knew where she would go, and that's where I started. Jenna had always had a routine. It wasn't much, but it was enough to follow. Her favorite cafe, the one where we had gone on our first date, was where I found her. She was sitting by the window, a coffee in hand, staring at her phone. Her face was pensive, distant, like she was trying to work something out in her head. For a moment, I thought about turning around and leaving her alone. Maybe it was better to let her come to me. But then I saw it him. Matt. He was sitting at a table across the room, his back to her, but there was no mistaking the tension between them. The way she looked at him, the slight tilt of her head, the way she subtly adjusted her position as if to be closer to him without being obvious. That was when the knot in my stomach tightened. I hadn't been wrong. The games they were playing were bigger than I thought. This wasn't about a dare or a kiss anymore. This was about something real, something I had no part in. I could feel the rage building inside me, but I didn't want to make a scene. I knew what I had to do. I waited, watched, and when Jenna stood up to leave, I followed her, keeping a safe distance. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but I wasn't prepared for what happened next. She wasn't heading home. She didn't even seem like she was in any particular rush. She was walking in the direction of Matt's apartment. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There was no hesitation in her steps, no second thoughts. She was walking straight into his world, without a single glance back. I followed her at a distance, my heart pounding in my chest. This wasn't just about a kiss or a dare anymore. This was something much deeper, and I wasn't sure if I could handle it. By the time we reached Matt's apartment building, my mind was spinning. I had to make a decision, confront her now, or wait and see what she would do. I stood across the street, hidden in the shadows, watching her walk into the building. It felt like a movie, the kind where you know the protagonist is making a terrible mistake, but you can't look away. And just like that, I knew I had to do something. But what? I couldn't just burst in there and accuse her of everything. That wasn't going to solve anything. I needed a way to make her see the damage she was causing. A way to show her that the life she was building with Matt wasn't the answer. She had been so sure of her choice, but I wasn't going to let her make it in peace. I turned and walked back to my car, my mind racing. The plan wasn't fully formed yet, but I knew I couldn't just let her slip away. I would make her realize what she was throwing away. I would make her see what I was worth. The next morning, I woke up to an unexpected message. "We need to talk." It was from Jenna. I stared at the message for a while, unsure of what to do. Was this the moment? Was she finally going to come clean, admit everything, and give me some kind of explanation? Or was this just another part of the game? I didn't know, but I wasn't about to let her dictate the terms anymore. I replied, "I'll meet you, but not where you think." I didn't give her the address. I didn't give her any details. I just told her to meet me somewhere that would throw her off balance. Somewhere she wouldn't expect. And just like that, the roles had reversed. Jenna had thought she was in control, but now she was the one in the dark. I arrived at the location an hour later, an old diner on the outskirts of town. The kind of place that had seen better days, but still held an air of nostalgia. I sat at the back booth, the dim light casting shadows on the cracked vinyl seats. I waited, each passing minute stretching longer than the last. And then she walked in. Jenna looked around, spotting me almost immediately. Her face fell when she saw the expression on mine. She didn't say anything as she slid into the booth across from me. For a moment, there was nothing but silence between us. I could see the conflict in her eyes, but I didn't care. I was past caring. This wasn't about feelings anymore. It wasn't even about the past. It was about what came next. "You wanted to talk?" I asked, my voice cold, even though my heart was pounding. Jenna swallowed, looking down at the table. She wasn't sure how to begin. She knew, just as I did, that this wasn't going to be a casual conversation. She had made her choice, and now it was time for me to make mine. I didn't think you'd be here, she admitted quietly. I thought maybe you'd just walk away. Walk away? I scoffed, leaning in. You think I'd just let you throw everything we had away without a fight? I didn't mean for it to happen this way, Jenna said, her voice breaking. I never thought it would get this far. I thought we could just move past it. You can't just move past it, I said, my eyes narrowing. You can't just kiss someone else, make me feel like nothing, and then expect everything to go back to normal. That's not how this works, Jenna. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't let up. You've made your choice, and now I'm making mine. If you want to fix this, you're going to have to work for it. And that means proving to me that you still care. Jenna sat back, her hands shaking. I could see the weight of what I was saying sinking in. She wasn't ready for this. But she would be. You've lost control of this game, Jenna. I continued, my voice low. Now it's my turn. I watched Jenna's face as the weight of my words settled in. The shock in her eyes, the way her lips trembled as if she wasn't sure what to say next, it was almost satisfying. For the first time in days, I felt like I had control over something, over this mess. This wasn't a conversation anymore. This was a challenge. A challenge I wasn't going to back down from. She opened her mouth as if she was going to say something, but no words came out. Instead, she just stared at me. I could see the regret in her eyes, the uncertainty, but that wasn't enough. It wasn't going to fix anything. You're not going to fix this with apologies, Jenna, I said, my voice still firm but colder than it had been before. You think you can just walk back in and pretend nothing happened? That's not how this works. You don't get to choose him and then expect me to just forgive you. I never thought it would go this far, Jenna whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. I didn't know how to handle it, Lucas. I didn't want to hurt you. Then why did you? I snapped, unable to keep the bitterness from my tone. Why did you kiss him? Why did you let him into your life, your space, like that? I trusted you, Jenna. And you broke that trust for a game. She didn't respond immediately. She just sat there, trying to compose herself, but I wasn't giving her the chance. I was done listening to her explanations. They weren't going to change what had happened. I leaned forward slightly, locking eyes with her. I'm not going to stand here and beg for answers. You've made your choice, and now you're going to prove you're worthy of coming back to me. I'm giving you one chance to show me that you still want this. One chance to show me you're not going to throw everything away for him. Her eyes widened as if she wasn't sure what to expect, and that made me realize just how far I'd pushed her. I wasn't doing this out of anger anymore. I was doing it because I was done being the predictable one, the one who would always forgive, always let things slide. Jenna had pushed me too far, and now, it was time for her to face the consequences. I don't know if I can fix this, she said softly, her voice breaking. I don't care if you know how to fix it, I shot back. All I care about is whether you're willing to try. There was a long silence between us, the air thick with tension. I could see she was struggling, trying to find the right words, but I wasn't waiting for them anymore. I had already decided what I was going to do. I was going to make her fight for me, fight for us, but it wasn't going to be easy. I was done being the man who just waited around to be chosen. If she wanted me back, she would have to prove it every step of the way. I'm not going to beg, Lucas, she said finally, her voice quiet. But there was a new edge to it, a new resolve. But I will fight. If you really want me to fight for us, I will. Good, I said, feeling a flicker of something deep inside. It wasn't hope, but it was something else. Something that felt like a spark I hadn't felt in days. I stood up, the sudden movement taking Jenna by surprise. I'm not going to make this easy on you. You've got your work cut out for you. You're going to prove to me that I'm worth fighting for. And I'm not going to be here waiting for you to get it together. I'm going to make you chase me, Jenna. She looked up at me, her face a mixture of fear and determination. What does that even mean? It means I'm not here to play by your rules anymore. You made your choice. Now you're going to work to change it. I didn't wait for her to respond. I turned on my heel and walked out of the diner, leaving her sitting there, alone, her mind undoubtedly racing. The moment the door closed behind me, I felt a sense of power I hadn't felt in a long time. Jenna had been the one holding the cards for too long. She had been the one in control, pushing me aside, making me question myself. But not anymore. I wasn't going to make it easy for her to come back. I wasn't going to be the man who just sat by and waited for her to choose me. I had made my own choice. I had decided that I was worth more than this. And if Jenna wanted me back, if she truly wanted to fix what we had, then she would have to fight for it. That night, I didn't sleep much. I couldn't. My mind was spinning with all the possibilities, with the game I had set in motion. It wasn't just about Jenna anymore. It was about something much deeper, about regaining control, about showing her that I wasn't someone she could easily discard. The next morning, I woke up to a message from her. I'll do it. I'll fight. But I need you to trust me again. I didn't respond right away. I stared at the message, not sure how to reply. What did she mean by trust? Could I ever trust her again? Could I ever look at her the same way? I didn't have the answers, and I didn't want to give her false hope. I knew one thing for sure, though. She was right about one thing. This was far from over. But as I sat there, staring at her words, I realized something else. This wasn't just about us anymore. This was about a game, a test, and I wasn't going to let her win this time. I replied with a single word: prove it. The days that followed Jenna's message were the longest I'd ever endured. The silence between us was suffocating, but I wasn't going to make the first move. Not anymore. She wanted to prove to me that she was worth fighting for. She had said she would fight. But actions speak louder than words, and I was done with empty promises. If Jenna truly wanted to win back my trust, she was going to have to show me, every single day. I wasn't going to let her off easy. Her message, "I'll do it. I'll fight. But I need you to trust me again," lingered in my mind. It wasn't just a plea for forgiveness. It was a challenge. But trust wasn't something you could ask for. It had to be earned. And right now, Jenna had a lot of work ahead of her. The thing about trust is that it's fragile. One wrong move, one misstep, and it can shatter completely. I knew that better than anyone. But what scared me the most wasn't losing Jenna. It was the fear of never being able to trust again, of questioning everything, every gesture, every word, every glance. If I let her back in without making her prove herself, I would never be able to look at her the same way. And that's a risk I wasn't willing to take. I couldn't help but wonder what was going through her mind. What was she doing right now? Did she even understand the weight of the situation? Or was she just going through the motions, hoping I would take her back out of guilt? I didn't want that. I wanted her to fight for me. Fight for the relationship we used to have. On the 4th day after my message, she finally showed up at my apartment, but not how I expected. She didn't knock on the door. She didn't ring the bell. She just stood outside, her figure visible through the window. It was late, around 9 p.m., and I wasn't sure if I was ready to see her. But I couldn't ignore the fact that she was standing there. I grabbed my jacket, knowing I had to face her. But what would I say? How would I even begin to explain where I stood in all of this? When I opened the door, there she was. Jenna didn't say anything at first. She just stood there, staring at me with a look of uncertainty mixed with determination. I couldn't read her expression. It wasn't the usual look she gave me when we were in a good place. It was something different, something raw, something real. She looked like she was holding back, like she didn't know what to say next, but at the same time, she was ready to speak. "I'm here," she said finally, her voice almost a whisper. "I know this isn't easy, Lucas, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes." I didn't respond right away. Instead, I let her words hang in the air. I wasn't going to make this easy for her. I wasn't going to be the one to comfort her. She had chosen to walk away, and now she had to come back to me. "You're here," I said, my tone flat. "But I don't know if that's enough." She stepped closer, the distance between us narrowing. "I know I don't deserve your trust, but I can't lose you, Lucas. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't know why I let it get this far. But I'm not giving up. Not yet." I could feel the weight of her words, but they didn't have the same power they once did. The damage was done. Trust wasn't something I could just give back, not without it being tested first. And right now, Jenna had yet to prove she was worth it. "You want me to trust you?" I said, my voice low, but deliberate. "Then show me. Don't just stand here and tell me you're sorry. Don't expect me to take you back because you say the words. Prove it to me. Show me you understand what you've done." She nodded, her eyes locked onto mine, full of determination. "I will. I promise you I will." There was a long pause, one that stretched on as we stood there, two people who were once so sure of each other now standing at the edge of something unknown. Jenna reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. I didn't know what it was at first, but when she handed it to me, I realized it was a list. "I've been thinking about what you said," she explained, her voice steady now. "About proving it. About showing you that I'm not just asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance. And I know it won't be easy, but I'm going to do everything on this list. Every single thing. I unfolded the paper slowly, and as I read through the list, my heart sank. It wasn't what I expected. This wasn't about grand gestures. It wasn't about winning me over with apologies or flowers. It was a list of small, deliberate actions. Simple things. Things that would show me how much she truly cared, how much she was willing to sacrifice for us to heal. The first item on the list read, I will stay away from Matt. I will not contact him, see him, or speak to him again until you tell me it's okay. My heart clenched. This wasn't just an apology, it was a commitment. She was acknowledging the gravity of what she'd done and the betrayal that came with it. It was a start, but it wasn't enough yet. There were other things on the list too. Things that showed she was willing to put in the work. I will be honest with you, no matter how difficult the conversation. I will not hide my feelings or my actions from you ever again. It was all laid out in front of me, raw and vulnerable. But as I looked at the list, I couldn't help but wonder, was this enough? Could this list really fix everything? Jenna was standing there, waiting for my response, and I realized something. I didn't know. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. But the fact that she was willing to put herself on the line like this made me hesitate. For the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this wasn't just about me taking her back. Maybe this was about us rebuilding something broken, step by step. I'm not going to say I trust you right now, I said finally, folding the paper back up and holding it in my hand. But I'll give you the chance to prove it. But remember this, if you break my trust again, I'm done. She nodded, her eyes sincere. I won't. I promise. And as I closed the door behind her that night, I knew the game was far from over. Jenna had made the first move, but I was going to make sure she understood the cost of what she had done. The real question was, would she be able to keep her promises, or would this all come crashing down again? The days that followed Jenna's list felt like a delicate dance. She kept her word, at least, for the most part. The first few days were quiet, almost painfully so. She didn't call or text me constantly, and for a while, I thought maybe we were headed toward some semblance of normalcy. But as the days dragged on, a small voice in the back of my head started questioning whether any of this was truly real. Was she really changing, or was this just an act? Could I ever trust her again? Or had the cracks in our relationship grown too deep to fix? Jenna stuck to the list. She didn't contact Matt. She didn't try to meet up with him, and there were no more awkward confrontations. But what I couldn't shake was the gnawing feeling that something was off. The tension between us was still there, simmering just beneath the surface. She was trying to show me that she cared, that she was committed to rebuilding what we'd lost, but I could see the cracks in her resolve, the moments when her eyes would drift off, when the weight of it all would settle in her expression. She was trying so hard, but I couldn't stop wondering if she was doing it because she felt guilty, because she thought it was the only way to earn my forgiveness, or if she truly realized how much she had hurt me. I knew Jenna better than anyone, but what I saw now was a woman who was desperately trying to prove something I wasn't sure I could believe in anymore. One afternoon, about a week after that fateful night when she handed me the list, I decided to test her. I wasn't sure if I was ready to forgive her, but I wanted to see how far she would go. I needed to know if this was real or just another phase of her trying to fix what she had broken. So I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I stayed distant. I didn't respond to her texts right away. I didn't take her calls immediately. I wanted to see how she would react. I expected frustration, maybe even anger. But what I got from her was different. She became quiet. Too quiet. She didn't push me to talk, didn't try to fill the silence. Instead, she seemed to retreat into herself. There was no pleading, no urgent texts begging for my attention. It was like she was waiting for me to make the next move, but she wasn't going to push me. And that silence, it was unsettling. Jenna wasn't a person who stayed silent for long. She thrived on communication, on connection. This new version of her, this cautious, almost passive Jenna, was a stranger to me. Then, one evening, I walked into the living room to find her sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in hand, staring blankly at the TV. She didn't notice me at first. The air was thick with the quiet that had settled between us, and for a moment, I felt like I was living in a house with a ghost. She looked up when I sat down beside her. "I've been thinking," Jenna started, her voice surprisingly soft, as though testing the waters. "About everything. About what we've been going through. I didn't say anything, just waited. I was done asking questions. I needed her to come to me with answers, not excuses. I know I messed up, she continued, her eyes avoiding mine. But I also know that I can't change what happened. I can't undo the damage. All I can do is try to make it right. And I will. I'll keep trying until I've earned your trust again. I'll keep proving it to you. Her words sounded rehearsed, like she had been practicing them in her mind for days. I could see the effort in her eyes, the strain in the way she spoke. But something in me resisted the urge to soften. Every word she said felt like it was being forced out of her, like she was trying to convince herself more than me. And that realization sent a cold chill through me. Was this really what I wanted? To keep fighting for someone who wasn't fully committed to herself, let alone me? You don't have to prove anything to me, Jenna, I said quietly. I've already made my decision. I gave you a chance. You either take it or leave it. But if you're really trying to prove something, then stop pretending like you're the only one who's been hurt. Her eyes snapped to mine, and I saw a flicker of something. Hurt, maybe, or anger. What do you mean by that? I leaned forward, my voice lower now. I'm the one who's been left in the dark, who's had to watch you walk away and give your trust to someone else. I'm the one who's been hurt by your choices. So don't sit there and act like you're the only one who's trying to fix this. If you really want to make it right, then stop making this about you. Her face softened, and I could see the guilt that had been eating away at her. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. I don't know if I can fix it, Lucas, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I can ever make you trust me again. But I will try. I will do anything to make it right. I sat back, feeling the weight of her words. I had heard these things before, so many times, but this time, I felt indifferent. The fire that had burned between us was starting to die down. All the love I thought I had for her was being replaced with something else, something colder, something more calculated. I wasn't sure if I was still in love with her, or if I was just holding on to the ghost of who we used to be. I don't want promises, Jenna, I said quietly. I want actions, and you've already shown me what you're capable of. Her face tightened, and she stood up abruptly. Is that it then? Are you done with me? Is that your decision? I didn't answer immediately. I just stared at her, trying to find the right words. But the truth was, I didn't know what I wanted. I don't know, I said finally. But I can't keep pretending like everything is okay when it's not. Jenna didn't respond, just turned and walked out of the room. And for the first time, I didn't chase her. I didn't try to fix it. I just let her go, and I sat there, unsure of what the next step was. Was this the end of us? Or was this just another test? I didn't have the answers, and for the first time, I wasn't sure I cared to find out. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between Jenna and me seemed to grow longer with each passing moment. I could feel the distance between us widening, and I realized that in the quiet, I had been waiting for something, a sign, perhaps, or a gesture, that would tell me whether we were going to make it or if this was the point where everything finally broke apart. But nothing came. I started to lose hope that this would work, that we would somehow find our way back to each other. I tried to focus on other things, work, friends, my own routine, but no matter how much I tried to bury it, the thought of Jenna always lingered. Then, one evening, I came home to find a small envelope on the kitchen counter. There was no note, no explanation, just the envelope, sealed and waiting. I picked it up, my heart skipping a beat. Inside was a letter, and as soon as I saw her handwriting, I knew it was from Jenna. I opened it slowly, reading each word with careful attention. Lucas, I know I've hurt you more than I can ever explain, and I've spent so many nights asking myself why I let everything get so out of hand. But I can't change the past. I can't undo the mistakes I've made, and I know that I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I want you to know that I will keep fighting for us, no matter what. Because I believe in us. I believe in what we've had, and what we can still have. I know it won't be easy. I know I've made it harder than it needed to be. But I promise you this. Every day I wake up, I will fight for your trust. And I will fight for us. If you ever decide to give me that chance, I'll be waiting. I'll be ready. I sat there, holding the letter in my hands, a knot forming in my chest. It wasn't just an apology. It was a promise. A promise that Jenna was no longer just asking for my forgiveness. She was making the decision to keep proving herself, to keep fighting, even when things seemed uncertain. The past few weeks had been painful. The silence had been unbearable. But as I sat there, reading her words, I realized something. I had never truly given her a chance to show me who she could be now, after everything that had happened. I thought about what I had put her through, how I had tested her at every turn, expecting her to prove herself over and over. And maybe she wasn't perfect. Maybe I wasn't either. But I couldn't deny the effort she had made, the way she had stayed committed to her word, even when it felt like we were falling apart. I picked up my phone and typed a single message to her. Let's talk. Less than an hour later, she was standing at my door, looking hesitant, her eyes full of uncertainty. She had been waiting for my decision, for me to make the first move. I got your message, she said softly. I didn't expect this. I've been thinking a lot, I said, stepping aside to let her in. About everything. About us. We stood in the living room, both of us unsure of how to begin. But this time, it wasn't about tests or games. It was about something simpler, about whether or not we could find a way back to each other. I've made a lot of mistakes, Lucas, Jenna said, her voice shaking slightly. But I want you to know, I never stopped loving you. And I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. I took a deep breath, looking at her for a long moment, before finally speaking. I believe you, Jenna. And I believe in us. But trust isn't something that happens overnight. I can't promise that everything will go back to how it was before, but we have to try. Together. She smiled, a small, relieved smile, and stepped closer, her eyes filling with tears. I'll do anything, she whispered. I reached for her hand, feeling the warmth of it, and for the first time in weeks, I felt the weight of the past few months start to lift. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, and we would face challenges along the way. But as we stood there, together, I knew one thing for sure. We had made it through the storm, and we were ready to rebuild, one step at a time. I'm ready, Jenna, I said, my voice steady, my heart finally at ease. And in that moment, as we embraced, I realized that love wasn't just about perfection. It was about resilience, about choosing to fight even when the odds felt stacked against you. We weren't perfect, but we had each other, and that was enough.